Okay, so this video is going to be about the new action bots. It is still an early build, but we hope to get something out fairly soon, hopefully before Christmas, if not sooner, if all goes well. So this is a demonstration on how to, what they look like so far. They've been radically changed. The last 3 weeks I have pretty much ripped out most of the code which I've been writing prior to that, and I've opted for a bot that acts similar to the Quake 2 remaster bots, which in turn are very similar to the Quake 3 bots. So instead of having an automatic generated nav mesh, it uses waypoints. But to make things easier, I've made a system in Quake 2 that mimics the remaster, that makes things a lot easier. So I'll turn it on, and we're going to should automatically generate. It's not nav mesh, but hey, it does a pretty close job in a lot of respects. So it won't fill out all the map. Thus far, I have got it to generate the nav mesh from the spawn points around the map. So it propagates out from those. However, there are some tools that we can use. So I'm in edit mode, so we're basically nav edit 1. I'll turn it off. Oh, that's interesting, it's reversing it. That shouldn't be happening. I think it's a toggle. Yeah, that's right, I changed it to a toggle. So if I change, we can change modes by using the reload key. So we've got add node, we can link, unlink nodes, we can move nodes around, we can change their type, we can delete them, we can flood fill an area, which we're going to use in a moment, or turn off interactions. So what I'm going to show you first is the flood fill, which is pretty much this algorithm here, except we're touching spots that don't have any nodes. So I tend to like to pick a corner because they align to a grid. It's a very small grid. Eventually you'll be able to change the grid size. I'll click there, and we can correct this. Don't auto join on flood fill. I may change that in the future. Actually, what we're going to do, we're going to add a node. We can either, similar to the remaster, you can, if I go into get out of the node clip, and if I go into a spot where a node will fit, because you can't just go into an area and just have nodes flood into other nodes. There we go. So I had to find a space here where a node would fit. You're probably noticing, I'll change it back to add node. As I'm walking around, it's automatically linking the nodes together. This is how the nodes work in the remaster. If you're popping them down, you can essentially enable walk nodes, and it'll walk them out as you're running around. Which is essentially what we're doing here as well. I don't like this placement here because it's like over the edge. So I'm going to go back into node clip. I'm going to grab him and move him around. It makes it a lot easier to add and remove nodes. Traditionally, this used to use the license to kill node placement, where you would go into console, you type add node. If you wanted to move him around, that was a whole ordeal in itself. Everything was command based. it worked, but probably not the best system for nowadays. So we're updating that. Now, sometimes the alignment isn't quite perfect, which annoys me. But you can move them around. They somewhat stick to a grid, and they will not go inside of each other. So, as you see here, it turns red. If it's red, essentially, if you try to place it there, it'll just go back to where it was in its last best position. So, it prevents you from doing that. So what I'll do is I will place a node. Instead of walking the node, I will just click. I'll add another one there. Then I will link these two together. That little feature you see there with all the yellow squares, that's more of a debug feature that's indicating if there's gaps or not. I may remove that or simplify it. If I link node 768 to, which I'm probably going to add to this one over here, 756. If I select this one, it turns red. That's indicating I want to connect him to this guy over here. You watch what happens with the yellow boxes. When I go all the way, it's indicating that it detected a gap between the two boxes, roughly about halfway, to say, hey, this isn't a essentially a walkable area. This is a special handling where if you just walk off here, you're more likely to damage yourself. So I'll grab that one, and then if you notice in the console at the top, it says that it's a node type 2 at the end. I'll do that again so you can see it. I'll have better indicators later on. For the moment, it's mostly just developer debug stuff. So if I grab that, pull him across, and it says it's linking node, blah blah blah, type 2. Type 2, I'll put a description in later on. Instead of having numbers, they will be text. Number 2 is basically crouching. So if you're a bot and you want to get over here, the best approach is to sort of crouch across and drop. And then you can do that, and you can link this neighbor across to go over here. Now when it comes to its neighbor, I probably don't want him going back, so I'm going to remove that connection back, and it'll just be one way. So that arrow there is indicating that it's going this way only. If you want it to go both directions, actually I'll probably show you. I will add a node, say like here, over there. I'll move him because he's going to be a ladder node eventually. Same with you. Put you about there. And we will link you to you. So he's one way. If you want him to go omnidirectional, so both directions, so there you got the two arrows, so they point to each other. The ladder's going up, I tend not to do them that way, so he won't go back that way. It's entirely optional how you want to set these up. Currently the bots don't have traffic management when they're traversing up and down, so if there's two bots on the same ladder, they will collide with each other. I will add in mitigation for that. Actually, License to Kill already has code for that. I'll probably use something very similar, or base it on the way the nodes work. So they're a bit like traffic control with vehicles. With your GPS might say, don't take this route because there's a lot of traffic. I may implement something similar, or just detect if there's another bot on the ladder by doing a trace, which picks up if there's anything above or below it. This is a good demonstration for, I'm going to change these because these are nodes by default. They're all what's known as move nodes. So the bot will just essentially move from one node to another by walking. But we can change that. So these are walk nodes. We want them to be, so it shows the move. So when you click on it, it shows you what they currently are. If you click on it more than once, it will start changing its type. So we've got, currently, there are a few types. We can make them crouch, we can make them jump. A bit like a jump pad in Quake 3. The idea is that they get boosted from one spot, one node to the other. Useful for making them do long jumps, like in Urban, the Urban jump from building to building top. So change him to ladder. He's changed to a green color to indicate that he's a ladder. I may have to do something special with the other nodes as well to differentiate them. The green stands out, so you know he's a ladder node. Change this one as well. So those are connected there. Typically, I like to put a move node in between two ladders. Just makes the transition a little better. We'll see how this goes. It may not work as would like. I'm going to add. Ooh, okay, so this one's a little more challenging because this ladder has a roof component, which is problematic. I've not actually tested this with the bots, so I'm not sure how they'll handle that. Should be interesting. The time being, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flood fill this area. I'll do it, say right there. Not quite where I want it, but that's okay. Up here, we'll steal this one. It can be a ladder node. So just sort of, you may have to move the ladder nodes around if the bots don't attach to, or if they don't climb up and climb down as they should, they might get stuck. So you may have to move them around a little bit to give it a bit of a test. So we ladder, and then link you to you, we go up, and then connect you to better. Typically, if you put another node, oops, going past all these, put another node in front, sort of almost directly in front, then link those two together, you, and then this guy can then connect to them. Just if it's on the side, the bot may not cleanly go down. Your mileage will vary on that. So I'll try to improve how the bots handle nodes in the future. Currently, again, I only wrote this sort of stuff in the last 3 weeks, so it's still early days. But Quake 3, the Quake 2 remaster gave me a lot of ideas on how to handle navigation waypoints, because I just somewhat explored this idea before, but seeing it in action makes a huge difference. Okay, so I'm going to link all these together. Go around and go around. I should probably apply autofill on when we do a flood fill, so that's probably going to be a thing. Anyway, so we're looking for that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Nice mesh network. Now, alright, so this is a map that it's not completely filled out with nodes. So we've gone through all those. Delete. I should go through deleting a node. So if I grab a node, say I don't really like this node on the corner. This is node 803. It goes higher than 803. You see an 806, an 812, blah blah blah. So if I delete that one, bam, he's gone. He will unlink and he basically deactivates. And what I can do, if I add in a new node, the node number will essentially be it gets put back in the pool of available nodes, so he will have the same number as before because we essentially freed him and now we've put him back in. You have to relink them because this node here, even though it has the same number, everything it had before, its linkages, whatnot, have all been wiped out. So it knows nothing about its prior state. Yes, I'm still yet to demonstrate this one. So this, I'm probably going to connect him over here somewhere. So select him. Oops, I'm on move. Oops. It's fine. Okay, so we'll change it to link. Change him. Now, this will probably be not a type 2. It'll come across as a type 5. Again, that'll be changed, so you'll see the, instead of the type numbers, you'll see types and strings. Type 5 is a jump, a long jump. So grab him and we'll do the same. I think he goes maybe over to 17. You can see it in the console there. We've got a type 5 over here. That's your long jump there. Again, connect him over there. It's a bit hard to see with all this clutter. I may have to look at some way of improving that. Maybe tone down the colors. It is distance based, so that the nodes will disappear if they're too far away. Which is quite nice. I wonder if I can alpha fade them. We'll have a play with all that later on. The key is just to get something out for people to play with. Okay, so enough rambling. What I'll do is I'll turn off the edit. Firstly, I've got a J key bound to nav toggle, which toggles between basically it starts off with nothing, and then if you toggle it, you can edit the nav mesh. If you toggle it again, it shows the bot's pathing. So if I spawn in a bot, you can see the bot traversing the pathing. Turn that off. If I turn that off, it turns off the pathing. If I turn it on again, we get the navigation. And we'll switch it to pathing. So as it stands, basically, if you have a map and it has no navigation, you can do the nav auto gen, and it will try its best to fill out the map, the majority of the map, but it won't be complete. You'll need to go in and manually add in nodes, do some flood filling, and link it up, move the nodes around. You'll probably want to do that anyway because you'll come across jumps and whatnot that you want the bots to essentially perform. That no navigation mesh software would fully understand like a person would. Or perhaps you don't want the bots doing certain things. They can do some pretty crazy stuff. So we'll go to Urban, which has already, it's not fully complete, but it's mostly there. So I'm going to toggle the navigation mesh, and this is more complete. I haven't done the streets. They will still need to be done, but I've got the vast majority of things done. Some of it's quite basic. Just having one jump point is not good. I will obviously have to improve that, but you can hit from the urban jump. This is what I was explaining earlier about the special jumps. So this is a jump pad, springs the bot across to these nodes here. They've got a choice on what node they want to hit. Or they can do the jump from down here to up here, which is quite challenging. Another one that they can do is from, say, like this spot. You can use the curb to do a jump up here, which is otherwise not possible without the angle of the curve. Another one which is somewhat challenging for especially a new player, and indeed bots as well, is a jump from here to here to over here. There are other jumps that are possible, which I can add in as well. So what I'm going to do is I'll add in a couple more bots. Their attack routine is very basic. It's not using the license to kill attack routines. What I've done is I've decoupled their, as you see, the bot's not facing the direction it's walking in anymore. That's been decoupled. It essentially uses the same method as the Crate 3 bots, where they can look in any direction and move in any direction, and it's entirely separate. It just makes for their movement to be a bit more natural, and it helps also with pathing anyway, because if they have to look at where they're going while they're pathing around, it does make it a little janky, especially if they need to attack at the same time. Oh, it doesn't quite make it. They don't always make it perfectly. They're a bit like people, and also they're the bots are limited like we are by physics. So the Quake 2 physics, when they land a jump, they'll often slide. Let's see, there we go. That's a little bit cheaty, but what gets the job done. So that jump is definitely possible by a human player. It's done slightly differently, but stuff like that. Maybe if I reorientate the node and change it around, it'll be more natural. But essentially, yeah, they're trying to do a ladder jump. Again, I've only been working on this for about 3 weeks. All the prior code that I had, I haven't really used much of it. Some of it is still there. For example, the weapon switching code is still pretty much there. Now, they were getting that jump a couple of revisions ago. I must have changed something that's preventing them from... Oh, there we go. Oh, so there you go. So the bots are not so robotic in their approaches to things. Sometimes they make very human mistakes. So yeah, work in progress. It's a lot better than where it was before, and the idea is to bring the bots to a similar level to the remaster bots, and I may even bring these bots to the remaster, so you may even see bots versus bots, you know, 2 different bot types. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now. There's probably a few things I'm missing out. I will go to their camera point of view. Let's see. Yeah, this is quite basic. They are less jittery when they move. They're basically just tracking their target at this point. But I'm gonna probably keep going with this. It makes their aim. They don't lead the target, for example. It does make their aim, if I can smooth it out and keep it smoothed out. Also, you notice that they, oh, that isn't going to do it. If I get one Okay, so this bot's going to take this ladder here. If we look at its view, it tries to look at the ladder as it's going up, and then it can move wherever it wants after that. So, well, just like a human player, you have to face the ladder as you're going up. You can't just face any direction and expect the ladder to work. Yeah, so the aiming, I'll try and improve that, make it smarter. I'm not sure. Okay, so this is a bug I've run into before. Something I need to fix, where they fly off the ladder. These are sort of the quirky things in development you come across from time to time. It's not very often that they do that, but I'll have to track down why it's occurring. I think I know why it's occurring. I just need to apply the appropriate correction for that in code. They can use any weapon they want. Predominantly I've told them to use pistol and knives. Just for development. Not hearing gun sounds all the time is kind of nice, just to get them to navigate around, get them to do their thing. But it is fun watching them move around. I've been surprised at how much I've been able to accomplish in the last couple of weeks. Because prior to that, I was trying to perfect their navigation, which it's pretty fundamental. Most AAA games with bot support, if they don't have navigation down really well, it's really noticeable, and especially in this game where, more than anything, Action Quake 2, unlike, for example, Counter-Strike or other FPS games, navigation is extremely important, because in this, you've got to be able to pull off the various stunt moves, like strafe jumping, double jumps, ladder jumps, and knowing the map, knowing how to apply that knowledge to different maps in different ways. And when I was working on the nav mesh, for example, getting the bots to understand that is extremely difficult. Like, I can do a pretty generic form of navigation mesh generation through automation, but you tend to find that it's not satisfactory. So I think this manual approach, with the aid of some auto generation, so the flood filling and whatnot, is super helpful. So that's where the bots are at currently. Lots of ideas and plans for improving them. They don't use A-star, they use something very similar. It's more of a flood fill. Each has its own benefits. I'd like to diversify how they take the pathing, because bots can take the same path over and over, and it's not... it's kind of obvious. So I have plans so that they will, a bit like a heat map, if they've overused, say, like various nodes, basically you can just attach a number to that to say, hey, you know, you've been using this a little too much, cool it on this, use one of the alternative nodes, and it should help alleviate them using the same paths over and over. You know, just little things like that that go a long way to improving their pathing and how they react to things. So as you can see, this bot's kind of been taking the same path over and over. Okay, so it does deviate occasionally, and there are a lot of things that I have in the prior code which I'm not currently using. Some of it I'm using. Helps to get them to move around the map in different ways. This one, that node, it doesn't. See, it sort of slides off that node. I'm trying not to get the bots to cheat too much, so the idea is that they will use the same input keys as a human. Prior to that, they would use more in-house things, so they could manipulate their own velocity, which a player can't do outside of your own keys. So yeah, the idea is just to try to get them as natural as possible on that front. So as you see, they didn't do the jump because the legs were damaged and bot was waiting for that to heal up before they could make that jump. Again, if they were able to manipulate their own velocity, they would have been able to make that jump no problems, even with leg damage. Yeah, so that's what I've been working on. It's coming along quite well. Quite happy with that. Again, I want to try to get something out as soon as possible because I know the community has been waiting for better bot support for a long time. You know, and just to end the video off on something cool, I'm going to turn off that. I'm going to... this may not work as well as I would hope, but we'll see how we go. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Turn off all the bots there. So we add bots. And we go for like 40 bots. So there we go with that. Spawn. Yeah, they are following each other, kind of like caterpillars. They are hitting into each other. This is where I need to tell them, hey, you shouldn't be all jumping at the same time. There's too much traffic. You guys are crazy. Oh, off he goes. Now we got a flying bot. So yeah, they're quite competent in, for the most part, navigating around the map. If they need to get somewhere, they will usually be able to get there, no problems. Like he was able to get up here. You know, there we go. Oh, he couldn't make it. Might try again. Let's see if he's going to try again. No, I was a little confused. I don't have any random wandering code either, so if they do get off track, they do get a little confused. I will add that back in, but for the time being, it is funny seeing them fail. I'm not gonna lie. I do like seeing them fail things. Just like, you know, we've all failed that jump many times over the years. I would love to make them straight jump. That's a challenge in itself, and I may tackle that one day. I have ideas on how that could probably work. But yeah, it's not as important as basically just getting them out, getting something out for people. Oh, what do they see? Oh, well, hello. Yeah, even though they don't predict their aim, so I'm gonna kill him. Someone kill my mistake. Yeah, so they do deviate a little bit with their pathing. It gets pretty crazy. Add in a few bots. Yeah, it gets pretty insane. But they also don't stop moving for the most part. They just kind of keep rolling on. I have to give them some tactics later on. But I do like seeing them use knives and grenades and just the obscure things that we tend not to use as people. I don't know if they're stuck or... Team 1 wins. Yes, it is quite amusing watching these guys move around. If they ever get tactics, that'll be interesting. Like working together, coordinating with other bots to say, hey, I've seen an enemy at such and such location, I need support, you know, I need help. I'm toying with the idea of having cover nodes as well, where if they need a bandage, they can say like, you know, if they're out here and they get damaged, they can go around here, this corner, potentially. Or even have it so that if someone's over here and they're looking up on the top of the building, you know, I can make that bot aware that someone's looking in that direction. So, you know, if you're gonna peek your head, do so with caution, or maybe flank them, go around a different way and sort of outsmart them. There's all sorts of cool ideas we can have a play around with in the future. Nobody's gonna see me there. But someone did. Oh, who's got the grenade? And this has got the fake clients in as well. They've all got their own pings, and they do show up as real clients. Trying to make them blend in, be more human-like. Maybe one day I'll make them be affected by their own latency. So they're I'm trying to keep it fairly realistic with the latency. You know, you might typically see on the internet with people in your area. Maybe you get someone with a high ping, a person with 170 odd ping. Oh, so the other thing is that the bot names are mostly randomized. So try to pick. See, you can probably see that we've got Kimbo Slice. Most of them, well, I shouldn't say most of them. A lot of them are action hero names and things like that, and some of them are just names from, you know, just your typical names that you get, not aliases. So you basically they have a pool of about, I don't remember, it's either 20, 30 or 40,000 different names they can pick from. It's a lot. And they'll try to randomize clan names, things like that. So you've got you've got the Diablo-like naming scheme where with some of the names you might have, there's none of them here because there's so many names to pick from, but some of them, you know, like when you come across certain mobs and the monster might have, you know, it's like a dark version or a blood version, or, you know, just, it's just a, like, in this you can have a prefix, you can have a postfix attached to the name, that just sort of differentiates things even more. The idea of mixing and matching first and last names kind of thing. Harrison Hill, I think that was a bot name for like one of the World War sort of names. Yeah, I think that's about it. That pretty much covers everything. I'm otherwise rambling with everything right now. Oh, yeah, they also report whether if there's an enemy down. Like, I've got the basics for the radio code in place. Hello. And also the idea is to get them to respond to your so if you say, you know, you're in trouble over the radio, you know, enemy spotted or anything like that, I like the idea of having bots be able to respond to radio calls from people and also potentially other bots. I don't know why they take that route. I may have linked that incorrectly. I've got to add more connections anyway. The more node connections, generally, the better. It can be bad for performance if you have too many. Back in the day, the limit, you probably didn't want more than, say, I don't know, 500 nodes on a map, because it would potentially start tanking performance on the server or whoever's hosting the bots. But now, you know, with the half decent CPU, you can probably, you know, get away with a few thousand. On my system, I probably tested it with about 16,000 at most, and it works. I don't know if it's the most performant. There's definitely some optimizations I can make in that regard. But it's a lot more than what we used to have. We're not back in the days where we have the, you know, early Pentium processors or Pentium 2s, Pentium 3s. So we've got a lot more that we can work with. And servers, even small, you know, like your Raspberry Pis, a lot more powerful than the old Pentium processors. Again, it depends on how many bots you have in there and what they're doing at the time. If they all spawn in at the same time, like in team play, they will all try to generate a path to their target, and that's where a lot of the cost comes in. So it's that pathing aspect. But as you can see here, I'm running the client and I'm running the bots. We're running 40 of them. And I am seeing a bit of performance degradation, but again, optimization. I'm also running recording, I'm also in debug. So definitely some improvements to be made all around, but quite fun so far. Anyway, that's my bot talk. Hope to bring this to everyone who's been waiting. Apologies for taking so long. I want to make this pretty good for the community. I want something half decent, especially for new players coming into the scene. They expect some pretty high standards these days, and you know, that's to be expected, I guess. I want to again iterate that I want to try to make these bots at least as good as the Quake 2 remaster bots, potentially better if I can improve upon that formula. Obviously that won't work the same as the remaster bots. The remaster bots aren't doing urban jumps and whatnot. I don't even know if they have the capability to do those sort of things at the moment. They may in the future. I suspect they probably will, because when we release AQtion into the remaster with bot support, they'll need to be able to do pretty much all this stuff. If not, I'll probably be porting these bots across. This is not, for the most part, for like 95% of the code base, it's mostly custom written. Some of it is, a very tiny percent is from Quake 3, and also there's 1 or 2 lines of code from the remaster, which have helped tremendously. And for the Quake 3 code things, code I've borrowed from that is basically the idea of movement. So separating the decoupling the movement from what it was in License to Kill to what we've got here, where they can aim and move and do that independently. And so when they go forward, they're essentially pushing the forward key like you put on the keyboard, and all those keys are exactly the same. Which is why they make mistakes on occasion, because they're not being guided pretty much. The ladder, they've got to be able to move on the ladder like you and I would, otherwise they will fall off. Yeah. Alright, I better go before I keep rambling. Thanks for listening.